In recent years, I have been a little bit like Cher in that scene from Clueless, where she has a mountain of clothes and nothing to wear. And even though I'm in the process of decluttering at the moment, and in the coming weeks and months, I will be starting the process of rebuilding my wardrobe so that I do have things to wear, I've also done a lot of reflecting on how I got here in the first place, mainly as I never want to end up here again. And in today's video, I wanted to share with you the reasons that I believe I ended up with a mountain of clothes and nothing to wear. Number one, buying clothes I just liked, or as I like to call it, shiny object syndrome. So this at first might seem a little bit strange because I have said in previous videos that I would really like to create a wardrobe filled with just things that I really like. But what I mean here is when you go into a store and you are instantly drawn to that kind of standout item, that kind of shiny object. And you know, this isn't necessarily a bad thing in all cases. Sometimes you're drawn to that item because it's something that's really your style. But with hindsight, I realize now that I often bought some of these items that I was drawn to without any real consideration as to whether they fitted my lifestyle, whether they suited my body shape, whether it was a good color for me, or you know, whether it kind of worked with other things I already had. So I ended up with lots of kind of really beautiful standout pieces that I really liked kind of individually, but they weren't really a good choice as a hardworking part of my wardrobe, because they didn't really go with other things. What I also found is often with those items, after the kind of excitement of finding them had worn off, after I'd worn them a couple of times, then often they would end up kind of hanging in the wardrobe a little bit unloved because they just didn't really work with other things in my wardrobe, or maybe didn't really work with my lifestyle. Number two, buying too much in the sales. So I absolutely love purchasing in the sales. It's a great way to make your money go further, and I am totally the type of person that will kind of eye up all of the things that they like and then just wait a little while to see what deals and offers come up on those items. But I think in the past I probably relied a little bit too much on the sales and also got a bit carried away in the sale, just buying too much, because similar to the first point, I was kind of more focused on how good a deal something was rather than kind of if this item suited my lifestyle or if I'd already got something similar to it at home, etc. Now don't get me wrong, I've got pretty good cost per wear out of most of the items that I bought in the sale anyway, but with hindsight I do sometimes think that at times I might have been better just buying something full price, something that I'd really thought about, maybe identified a gap in my wardrobe that I needed to fill, and in those cases, maybe the cost per wear might have been even lower than some of the items I bought in the sale, because some of the items that I bought at great discounts, whilst the discount was great, they were kind of a little bit random and a little bit more kind of impulse purchases. Number three, a lack of basics. Now, I've really noticed as I've been trying to make some of the clothes that I already have work for me, that there is a distinct lack of basics in my wardrobe, which is weird because I never would have thought that was the case until I kind of really tried to make what I had work at the same time as not buying anything new. And I think that kind of both shiny object syndrome and buying in the sales is probably to blame here, because I was kind of more focused on those kind of wow standout pieces and whether something was a good deal than whether something was what I really needed and whether it would work well in my wardrobe. Having a lack of basics has meant that I have lots of really lovely things, but nothing that kind of works together as an outfit. Number four, buying things I'd seen on my friends or on my peers. As I started to declutter my wardrobe, I started to notice just how many different kind of clothing styles I had. And whilst I think some people can be true style chameleons, I don't think it's true of myself. I kind of look a bit silly and a bit try hard in some things. Now, some of the things that I bought them because I'd seen them on my friends and thought how brilliant they looked. For example, one of my friends has this real kind of effortless, laid back, oh, this old thing kind of style about her, and she just looks gorgeous. And yet if I try the same thing, I literally look like I've just picked up clothes off a pile on the floor and thrown them on. I just look scruffy and like I've not made an effort at all. I certainly don't have that kind of effortless, cool vibe at all. When I think of some of my other friends, they have this kind of really fun, youthful vibe. So they'll wear kind of mom jeans and maybe a graphic tee or a fun sweatshirt, some funky colored earrings, some trainers, and they look lovely. But I've tried it and I look ridiculous. In fact, I lost count of how many messages I got after my very first wardrobe declutter about the sweatshirt with the cute embroidery on it. And you know, people saying I should keep it because it was so lovely, and it is really cute and really lovely, and it'll look great on someone else, but on me it looked terrible. It was so unflattering. It made me look about 20 pounds heavier than I was. It was just not a good style for me at all. I wish it worked. It just didn't. But you know, some of my friends have completely different lifestyles to me. They often have completely different body shapes and completely different personal styles. So it's not surprising that something that looked great on them really just didn't work on me and kind of ended up looking unstylish and a bit odd. Number 5, not letting go of items. So if you are a regular or a long-term viewer of mine, you will know that the vast majority of my clothing was purchased over 10 years ago. But up until recently, I found it quite difficult to part with items. Now, I think there's a few reasons for this. Firstly, I think of all the money that I spent, and because I looked after my items, many of them are still in beautiful condition. I also think there's been a bit of a weird reluctance to accept that my life has changed almost entirely in the last decade, and I think there's probably a little bit of guilt mixed in there as well, because when I bought many of these items, I genuinely believed that I would wear them for decades to come, which with hindsight was probably completely unrealistic anyway. But all of this has resulted in a wardrobe that is bursting at the seams, and yet I have nothing to wear because many of these items, you know, I have no desire to wear them. They don't suit my lifestyle anymore. In some cases, they don't even fit. And yet I've kind of been really reluctant to buy anything new that kind of does suit my lifestyle, that does fit, because I have all of this stuff. And ultimately, yet again, this has resulted in me owning a mountain of clothes, but having nothing to wear. Number 6, buying clothes to slim into. So I've spoken about this in other videos and how ridiculous this was, but I would often find items in the sales. Yes, the sales rears its ugly head again, but I would find them and they wouldn't be in my size, but I'd try them on and say, oh, well, I don't like how this looks now, but if I lose a little bit of weight, this will look absolutely lovely. And you know, this was so ridiculous because not only did I already have a wardrobe of clothes that I either didn't want to wear or didn't fit, but I was adding even more items to an overflowing wardrobe that I wasn't going to wear and in many cases couldn't wear. To add even further irony, now I've lost a little bit of weight. Some of those items I'm trying on and I don't even like them. Completely ridiculous. Whilst reflecting on my poor shopping behaviours from the past and the mistakes that I've made hasn't been particularly pleasant, it has given me a lot of insight, and hopefully these are mistakes that I won't make again in the future. I know now that I need to really plan my wardrobe and to really look at what I need that suits my body, my colouring, my lifestyle, etc., rather than kind of buying things at random. So I hope this video was helpful or interesting in some way. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to any of these things that I've brought up. I'm sure I'm not alone in making some of these mistakes, but thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.